This video will be the ultimate guide to getting faster all in one. Minimum equipment needed, and you can do it all on your own. We're going to first go over technique in the quickest, easiest way possible. Honestly, when it comes to sprinting technique, it's really not that hard if you know what to look for. Then we'll go over one drill to fine-tune that technique, and 2 drills to dial in getting faster. Technique. When accelerating or sprinting properly from the side, you should be at about a 45-degree angle from neck to ankle. Your knee punches up to about the height of the waistband of your shorts or pants. When your knee is up, both shins should be parallel to each other. Foot pulled towards your shin and flexed hard. Then from there, you need to punch back into the ground, striking on the ball of the foot, pushing you forward. Here are some lines and visuals to help out on the proper angles in lines of force. To work on this technique or just to see how to compare, simply get out your phone and record yourself. Whatever angles or positions that don't line up with what you see here, you can work on in the next drill. Everyone has a phone, and I think most athletes tend to be very visual in their learning process. So use your phone to see what you're looking like and compare. Then briefly from the front, just make sure you're not rocking side to side. Everything should be moving forward to backwards in as straight of a line as possible. Your arms should stay slightly bent, all while you're aggressively swinging them to help drive your legs even faster. Your body is neurologically wired that when you swing your arms faster, your legs will go faster, so don't neglect your arm swing. That's why all the top sprinters in the world you see today have jacked upper bodies as well. The technique drill that we have is called a wall drill. All you need to do is firmly place your hands on the wall and walk back to where your feet are underneath your hips and you're at about a 45-degree angle. Keeping your arms straight, back flat, and pressing hard into the wall to hold you up, but also brace your core, rise up onto the balls of your feet. Then bring one knee up to the top position. As you can see here, for the most part, the position I am on the wall is almost identical to the position I am in the first step of a sprint and several of the other steps after. Then switch your legs quickly, all while maintaining the same exact position. The only thing that should change is the foot and leg that is up. I would again suggest recording yourself to see what you look like and what you might be doing wrong. Some of the more common mistakes are rounding your back, placing your back heel on the ground, not pulling the foot towards the shin, bending the arms, and or snapping the foot back towards your butt versus under the hip. Once you've mastered doing single switches, you can progress to doing doubles, triples, and even just repping it out into the wall for short bursts of speed. Just make sure the entire time you look exactly the same. It's a pattern. It should be consistent in shape and repetitive in every way. Last note on this drill is your shin should stay the same angle the entire time. This is important because it's one of the more difficult concepts to master in the drill and when sprinting. You want your shins to stay the same angle because they're in a positive position in relation to the direction you're trying to sprint. A positive shin angle versus something like this is an easy fix or indicator of improper mechanics that won't be as efficient or fast. This is because of the forced foot contact of that foot being more flat, which doesn't allow you to push into the ground in order to push you forward. An upright shin angle or an incorrect shin angle and a flat foot on contact like you see here is an all too common mistake due generally to the hips being too far back. When the shin is more vertical to the direction in which you're trying to sprint, less force can be directed forward in comparison to what you see here with a proper positive shin angle and foot contact. After doing several rounds of singles for 5 to 6 reps or 3 to 4 sets of doubles, triples, whatever you're going to do as far as programming goes, contrast them into sprints. So do sprints after each wall drill or after all of your sets. Initially when sprinting, don't start off at 100% effort. It's way easier to work on individual steps and technique by slowing down a little bit and then speeding up later on. Next step or drill we're going to go over is go find a hill and do some hill sprints. The reason for the hill is because after wall drills, you'll be able to sprint with better technique or essentially similar technique on the angled hill versus on flat ground. The hill almost becomes the wall for your feet. It also increases the difficulty or intensity because you have to sprint up that incline. Record yourself again and make sure you look the same on each foot contact and stride. Don't overlean and make sure you get your knees up to the proper height without sacrificing posture. This little hill over at the gym is entirely too short. It was just the easiest filming opportunity. For your hill sprints, you want the hill to be at least 15 yards, if not a little bit longer, if you can find one that works well for you. I have put all 3 of these side by side to show the similarities in positioning. My normal sprints on flat ground, a wall drill, and now the hill. As far as training goes, and outside of using a hill to work on technique, I would suggest 1 time per week, get out and do anywhere between 8 to 15 sprints at full speed, around 15 to 30 yards depending on the length of the hill you have. Just make sure, like any speed training, that when you're doing each sprint to give 100% effort each time. And the only way to do that is to take 1 to 2 minute breaks minimum between each sprint. that length break will allow you to recover fully, or at least enough to give 100% effort. I say it every speed video I have done, and I'm not going to stop now. Those who sprint faster more often get to sprint faster, which also means if you want to sprint fast, you must sprint fast. And you can only do that if you take the proper length break. Then the final drill we're going to go over is we're going to go to the flat ground and really work on some single leg power output. You see, sprinting in a very basic or general sense when broken down is actually just a bunch of single leg bounces propelling you forward. If you have hurdles, that's great for this, but if not, you can just use cones. Or if you don't even have cones, just use shoes or something to mark the distance. You just want to make sure whatever you're using, a shoe actually works pretty well, that if you hit it, it's not going to hurt you or make you roll your ankle. I'm just going to use cones in this example because I went over this drill in a previous video and we use hurdles. Take 3 cones across and set them up 1 to 2 feet apart. The distance will be dependent on your age, height, and skill level. Younger, not as tall athletes start off with shorter rather than further apart. On one leg, bounce through the cones as far as possible 2 to 3 times on both legs. The first initial sets, you don't want the distance to be too far or too challenging because you kind of need to prep the knees, ankles, and hips for what you're about to do when they get further apart and the amount of impact you're going to have to take and force you're going to have to put down, which you'll do by increasing the distance between each row of cones by another couple of inches per row or up to a foot. Repeat 1 to 3 more sets on each leg and keep increasing the distance until it's challenging, but not too far apart where you can't maintain good speed and control. In a training setup, you would want to look at doing in total 5 to 8 reps on each leg. In between sets, I would also recommend sprinting, contrasting or translating the drill components into an actual sprint, where you'll want to take all of the previous stuff we've gone over technique-wise, maintain that, but now also really work on putting force into the ground and bouncing your foot off the ground quickly. When it comes to sprinting, initially you have to work on technique. You got to fine tune it. Then after that, it's all about taking that technique and putting as much force as you can in the ground and quickly getting that foot off of the ground. The more force you can put down while reducing the amount of time your foot is on the ground will ensure more of that effort or force comes back to you in order to maximize your speed. That's it. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.